The planet is burning and the government's handing out marshmallows. So today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. For those omnivores who might have accidentally clicked on this link, please stick around because this isn't just about plant-based living or vegan lifestyle. This is about all of us. It's about our planet, what's happening to it, and what we can do about it together. And I promise you, I'm not going to take your steak away from you. You can have it if you want to. If you've ever worried even just a little bit about global warming, this is some stuff you're going to want to hear. Welcome back to PB with J. Normally, I would start off these videos by talking to the audience, saying hi to some subscribers and some other fun things. But because I'm hoping that this is going to reach a wider audience, I want to get right into the topic at hand today. Stick around to the end for that usual stuff. For the omnivores watching, please know that even though this is a plant-based focused channel, our rule around here is we don't yuck anyone else's yum. We even have a shirt to back that up. My goal is not to rip the meat off of your plate. I know one of the common arguments is that human beings have always consumed meat, so why should we eliminate or reduce that now? Without getting into any spoilers, the two main reasons are that, one, we've never consumed meat at the rate and in the quantities that we are now. And two, it's never been as harmful to the planet as it currently is. Before you click away thinking this is going to be a super duper depressing video, I promise you that by the end of this, you're going to have some takeaways for how you can help fix these problems. Today, we are going to talk about the history of animal agriculture, what it's doing to the environment, what our governments are and aren't doing to help it, but what you can do to fix it. So stick around for all of that and more. Let's skip over the whole hunter-gatherer portion of our history to about 100 years ago when rural farming ruled the roost. Over the past century, meat consumption has seen a giant shift. What was once a rare luxury for special occasions has morphed into a daily, if not mealy. Is mealy a word like every meal? Mealy? Anyway, I'm going to go with that, mealy. It's a mealy staple. And this is because of a lot of factors like increased availability, increased affordability, convenience, and cultural norms. From 1880 to 1950, farms got a tech makeover, with the biggest thing being cold storage that allowed meat and dairy to travel around the world to a lot of places that normally didn't eat it all that often. But that's not all. Genetic selection also took the spotlight. It turned farm animals into some kind of super soldier, designed to grow bigger, faster, in better meaty proportions. Essentially, they were designed to become efficient meat growers, not animals. And I know a lot of you are watching this going, I don't really care about that. I think meat is a product anyway, and I don't care about animals. That's a little bit sad, but sure, I understand that. I mean, I don't understand that. But I get that that's how you feel, and I respect that. Except I don't, but I'm trying to. Except I'm not. This is complicated. Know that I'm not yucking your yum. Anyway, let's just fast forward to today. We have mega farms pumping out mass amounts of meat, dairy, and eggs. But that's good, right? We've got a growing population of people, and they need to be fed. So what could be so bad about that? Here's the kicker. This industrial revolution of food has come at a hefty price for the environment. Check this out. Deforestation. Every year, an area the size of over 5,000 football fields is cleared for animal agriculture. To put that into perspective, that's like saying goodbye to a forest every hour. Greenhouse gas emissions. Here's something that surprises most people. Animal agriculture emits more greenhouse gases than all the cars, planes, and trains combined. Water pollution. Animal farms are washing 335 million pounds of manure into waterways every day. Every day. That's enough to fill 100 Olympic-sized swimming pools of animal excrement. And people that live in these areas, not only is this terrible for the environment, the people that live near these facilities have increased illnesses, diseases, and I don't even know what else. It's just not good. Do you want to live near an Olympic-sized swimming pool of poop and pee and stuff? No, it's gross. And last but not least, biodiversity loss. Brace yourself for this one. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of species extinction. And I'm not just talking about the animals that humans eat. Around 100 to 200 plant and animal species go extinct on average every day. and 137 of those go extinct specifically because of deforestation caused by animal agriculture. All right, so let's be real here for a second. The problem is that most people hear stuff like this and it sounds like someone else's problem, right? They don't really understand how it affects them in their day-to-day life. They don't have a context for it. So allow me to paint a very vivid picture of what's at stake. First off, let's talk about rising temperatures. Imagine heat waves, scorching heat waves that last for weeks at a time, making it so that when you go outside, it feels like you're baking in an oven. Like you're a muffin, but not tasty because you're made of flesh and organs and stuff. And you've got melting of the ice caps. So what's that look like? Well, it means you've got rising sea levels that swallow up coastal communities, leaving people literally homeless. Livelihoods destroyed, millions of people displaced. All because we couldn't cool it with our carbon emissions. Now let's zoom in on deforestation. Imagine lush forests reduced to barren wastelands, leaving wildlife homeless and vulnerable. But it's not just about the trees. Deforestation leads to things like soil erosion, landslides, putting communities at risk. And when those wildfires rage through, fueled by dry, deforested landscapes, homes get engulfed in flames and lives get shattered in a blink. Next up, polluted air. Imagine stepping outside and being hit with a wall of smog so thick you can literally taste it. And as we discussed elsewhere in this video, you know what that smog tastes like. And it's not like living next to a chocolate factory. That's what happens when pollutants from animal farms and industrial activities fill the air in communities where people live. They make it hard to breathe and trigger things like asthma attacks for those with respiratory conditions. But it doesn't stop there. Polluted air is like a silent assassin. It sneaks into our bodies. It wreaks havoc on our health. We're talking about things like increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and even lung cancer. Oh, let's not forget about water pollution. Imagine your favorite swimming hole with harmful chemicals and bacteria from nearby farms. Taking a dip is supposed to be refreshing, not a gamble for your health. Polluted water can lead to gastronomical problems like vomiting and diarrhea. And if that contamination sticks around long enough, we're talking things like liver damage and kidney failure. So when we talk about the impact of our actions on the planet, we're not just talking about polar bears and rainforests. We're talking about our homes, our health, our future. And all this sounds really bleak, right? And I know you're thinking, well, the government's going to step in and fix this, aren't they? Aren't they? Now hold on to your eco-friendly hats because we're going to get into a topic that is going to get a little bit heated. Government subsidies. Please don't skip ahead. I know that sounds really boring. It's like when they brought midichlorians into Star Wars and trade disputes and all that stuff. I promise this is a little bit more interesting than that. And it's the kind of thing you're going to want to know. Because depending where you live, you're probably paying tax dollars to these governments that are then using this money to do these things. Let's just say that our very own governments aren't exactly playing on Team Earth when it comes to their spending habits of your money. While we're grumbling about the growing cost of fuel and food, our tax dollars are being pumped into industries that are literally fueling global warming. I'm talking about billions of dollars going into not only oil and gas, but also animal agriculture and other harmful sectors. Recent research has uncovered that we are forking out a whopping $1.8 trillion every year on subsidies that are driving species extinction and basically just wrecking our environment. The United Nations Climate Change Panel sounded the alarm, calling this a code red for humanity. Code red, that's the bad one. And yet our governments are turning a blind eye to it. Let me get specific and take a closer look at where I live, Canada. In the early 2010s, our federal government made a pledge to phase out fossil fuels. Sounds nice, right? Yeah, except cut to 18 years later where they spent a jaw-dropping $18 billion to support oil and gas. Talk about a broken promise. And if you think that's weird, here's the kicker. In 2019, Canada underwent a major change to its food guide.
What we should be eating up against what you may be eating.
Unfortunately for the poor chickens, they taste so good.
To make it all easier, forget serving sizes and food groups. Now it's all about proportions.
Never would I guessed that they would change as much as they have.
Using evidence-based reviews instead of industry input, the new food guide warns against eating processed and prepared foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fats.
It completely removed dairy as a food category, and it recommended plant-based proteins over animal-based proteins. What was especially amazing about this is that this guide was made without industry support, which means you don't have places like Big Meat and Big Milk paying for this and, skewing the results in their favor. It was done using actual science. Imagine that. This was an actual really impressive and huge move for our country, and I thought would create change. Not really, not yet.
Where we fall short is we don't do enough in this country to ensure that each Canadian child has access to the kind of food that we are recommending for them.
Cut to 2021, where $1.7 billion in subsidies went to animal agriculture, an industry known for its contributions to climate change. And I don't mean in a good way, I mean the bad way. You've probably heard the complaint that it's really expensive to be vegan because produce is expensive. Guess what? The only reason that meat and dairy and eggs are affordable for people to eat is because they're subsidized by the government. The same government that said those things are not as healthy as the plant-based substitutes. Imagine if suddenly they poured that same amount of subsidy money into plant-based agriculture as opposed to animal agriculture. If suddenly that food became more affordable for people. And wouldn't it make sense for them to do that based on their own research and findings that they had and put into their own official government food guide? Why are these two areas of the government not collaborating? You know that people would shift their spending habits if these things were to happen. And this is not just Canada. According to the United Nations, a whopping 90% of the $540 billion given globally to farmers each year is considered harmful. Yeah, harmful. And the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, milk and beef, are given the biggest subsidies. The planet is burning and the government's handing out marshmallows. Now comes the good news part. Researchers from Stanford University and the University of California have a groundbreaking idea: a rapid global phase-out of animal agriculture as we know it today. Countries like Denmark and the Netherlands are already taking steps in the right direction by investing billions of dollars into plant-based food production. I'm personally urging the Canadian government to shift their subsidy money away from harmful animal agriculture into positive plant-based food production. I know that we have a global audience on this channel, so it really is up to you to do your own research into the way your government is spending their money. And please use the comments down below to share that information with everyone else. It is time for us and our governments to put our money where our mouth is and use it to fuel efforts that will fix the damage that we have caused. So what can you do? Support sustainable farming. Look, I totally understand if you're not the kind of person who just wants to stop eating meat outright. I get it. But look for labels like organic or even better, pasture raised when buying animal products. These farms tend to use more eco-friendly practices and are generally gentler on the planet. Advocate for change. Get involved in your own communities and support policies that promote sustainable agriculture. Seriously, every single voice counts. I'd really love you to consider trying some alternatives to plant-based meats and cheeses and other products. I already know just from my day-to-day life that most people tend to prefer plant-based milks these days. My sister drinks plant-based milk and she has got a freezer full of dead things. For eating, just to be clear, it's not like she's not weird. She doesn't have a freezer full of dead things for weird reasons. It's for eating. Plant-based substitutes for animal products taste delicious and they tend to have a lower carbon footprint. And the best thing you could do is reduce or completely eliminate your meat consumption. Cutting back on meat can make a huge impact. If every single person in North America swapped out at least one meal of beef per week, that would be like taking 10 million cars off the road each year. What happens if instead of meatless Mondays, it was just meat Mondays? So that was the only day of the week you had meat. Is that a weird idea? And maybe the rest of the week you just have little sprinkles of things if you need them, but maybe you phase them out Like I said at the beginning of this video, I am not here to rip the meat out of your hand. But if you like the planet Earth, and if you got kids or grandkids and you want to see this planet continue to thrive, you have to take an honest look at what you're putting on your plate and into your mouth and what it's doing to our environment. And the best thing you can do is simply spread the word by talking about it to other people, sharing videos like this. You'd be surprised how many people don't realize that what they do on a daily basis contributes to global warming. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I'd like to say hello to a couple people in our audience. Lynn from Dunedin, Florida, Philip from Arlington, Virginia, Jenny from Kaiser, Oregon, Chris from Sanford, North Carolina, Rachel from the United Kingdom, Donna Marie from London, Ontario, Beth from Sarasota, Florida, Casey from Austin, Texas, Annabeth from Boise, Idaho, and Allison from, you didn't say where, but Allison is from our Mighty Network. What is our Mighty Network, you might ask? Well, it's our members group here on PB with J. For the low price of a crappy cup of coffee a month, you get access to our videos a couple days in advance, members only live streams, and an amazing community full of like-minded people like yourselves, sharing, commenting, talking with each other, supporting each other. It's a pretty special place, and I'd love to see you in it. And you also get to the top of our shout-out list, which is getting a little long these days because we have such an awesome and amazing community, and I greatly appreciate you. Please consider sharing this video with someone that you think might need to watch it. If you enjoyed this and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button down below for more like this, and YouTube wants you to watch this video next. It's probably a little less intense than this one. Maybe it's silly and fun. I don't know what they want you to watch. It really depends on you. Thanks.